How are you, my friend?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Okay. Um, I usually do like a mini introduction in Spanish, but it's going to be fine. I'll
Okay.
just post it
You
about
could
you.
do it
Your
in
work.
both if you're getting fancy.
Yeah, exactly. You can practice your Spanish too.
I can, yeah.
You can order chicken soup. That's what I
I can,
remember that you
yeah.
know how to say. Yeah. Um, So, today we're going to talk about personal projects in pet photography and your role in pet photography awards. Both, like being a contestant in because I know you have like a lot of awards, and also being like on the other side of awards. That is like
Yeah,
your contest.
yeah.
So, what do you want to start?
Well, I suppose I should say who I am to begin with,
Yeah,
I guess, shouldn't
yeah.
I? So I'm Craig Turner-Bullock. I am based in Christchurch, New Zealand. I've been a pet photographer since 2001. Uh, I run my business here, which is called Photography. And I am also one half of Unleashed Education with Charlotte Reeves. And together, the two of us also host the International Pet Photography Awards as well.
Ah, amazing. So let's start. Oh, wait, I almost destroyed my computer. Um, okay, I'm going to then talk a little bit about how we met. It
Yep.
was in Scotland 2 years ago, three.
No, four, I think, 2019. So it's nearly five. It's 5 years
No,
ago in May. No, it can't be.
no,
It wasn't
no,
too.
no.
No, it was post COVID. It was post COVID. It was 2022. So yes.
So 2 years.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can't count. Oh my God,
yeah,
time just has no meaning in my life whatsoever.
of course. And with COVID, like we lost track of like
Well,
the years. Like it
time
was like,
became even more meaningless, didn't it,
yeah,
during that period
yeah,
of our
exactly.
lives and our existence? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
it
crazy.
was. It was 2022 in
Ye-
Scotland
Yes,
at
it was
Barklander.
amazing. Yeah.
It was. I loved
Uh
it. Yeah.
it actually like well, the whole retreat for me was uh like a lesson from life because everything was going really bad with my tours and stuff. And then I ended up with you guys and it was really an amazing experience. So at the end, all the things that kind of seem that are bad are good. So it was
Yeah,
it was
there's
amazing.
always something good to come out of a bad
Yeah,
situation, I reckon.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when all your post-workshop stuff went pear-shaped and we had you join along on the adventure, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, yes, it was really fun. And I saw you working and like because you were teaching at the retreat, but when I had the opportunity of seeing you how like you do your shoots, like your personal work,
Yeah, it's quite
it's
different to being
it's
at a shoot on a workshop. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I remember one that it was in a small town that you have two dogs, and it was we had like a church on the back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the
Um,
English setters. Yeah, in the
yeah,
in the Cotswolds. Yeah.
yeah, that was really amazing because you really are like you forget about everything around when you're shooting. Like there's a lot of photographers that they just like they're kind of like in the shoot, but they're still like know where they are and all that, and you just like you're like those horses that they put this thing.
Yeah, the
Have you
the
seen it?
blinkers on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's you in a shoot. So it's really inspiring because you're like so involved, and that's passion, and that's really
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
It
really
it
nice.
it is just that laser focus, I guess. And I'm doing my thing and getting so into it that, yeah, like whatever else is happening is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even really know. Yeah.
Yeah, but so it was a really nice experience for me to see other pet photographers like doing their thing, because Kelly was doing also like some shoots. So it was more than what I thought it was going to be, because I had like this extra thing, right? Um so right after, I think when the awards were like, you have them like 1 year, right? That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our second year hosting. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the awards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we, Charlotte and I, when I say we, I mean Charlotte and I, uh, took on the International Pet Photography Awards from Caitlin and Kirsty at the Pet Photographers Club.
Mhm.
Yeah, last year was our first year running it. Um, I guess because it had grown quite significantly from when they started running it, and they wanted to pass the baton to somebody else who would continue the awards and help it thrive going forwards. Because, well, I guess what a lot of people who are entering awards don't really see is just how much work running an awards is behind the scenes. We, we're open for entries for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe, and um, and then we go into the judging. So the kind of public facing side of running the awards is, well, this year from mid June to November is when the winners are announced. So there's a few months there, but then there's like 4 more months before that where we're pretty much working solidly on making
Yeah.
sure systems are okay and that we've updated them to be compliant with the latest technology. And uh, um, our good friend and a person who works a little bit with us on Unleashed now, Fiona Lovett. She has like completely overhauled the entry system. So we're continuously trying to improve the experience for the entrants. We're trying to make the system better and more consistent for the judges, and just really make this the best pet photography competition in the world. That is a real celebration of the artists that are creating the most unbelievable work out there, because this niche has some incredible talent, and that absolutely needs its time in the spotlight and to be celebrated. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but it's a lot of fun, of course. And when we sit there and judging and we look at the winners, and it's really inspiring for us to
Of
see
course.
what everybody else does. You know, um, it makes us want to be better photographers too. I think I can safely say that on behalf of all of the judges. We are judging because we are passionate about this niche. We want to watch the growth of this industry. We want to help photographers be better, and we're so inspired by the work that we get to see, that it pushes us to be better as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
How many
I love it. I think it's such a valuable experience for
how
people.
many entries do you have did you have last year?
We had just over 3,000 entries last year.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and we do provide written feedback for every
Yeah.
single entrant on every single entry. So each entry gets 2 pieces of written feedback, and we try and make that as constructive as possible, so that when you read your feedback, you have something that you can act upon to then go forwards and go, oh, I remember that feedback from this image. Maybe I'll shoot this differently, or maybe I'll edit this differently, or maybe I need to watch my white balance and my masking, or just whatever it is that so we
My
try and
horizon
make
line.
it an experience that will help photographers improve their craft, as well as, maybe win some awards and some certificates and some medals and some prizes and all of that. And that's also why we've introduced the accreditation program this year as well, which we're really excited about. So
What is that?
So basically, in a similar way to a lot of other awards, you'll be able to accumulate points for your entries. So, if you get a silver award and you get 84 points for that image, then you'll get 84 points towards becoming an accredited photographer. And
Oh,
then, we've got many ideas for developing this further in the future. But once you become accredited, you can get to certain levels, and eventually be a master of pet photography or whatever.
that's
So,
amazing.
so we're really excited about that. So people can build a portfolio of award-winning images, become a master. What will become part of that as well, which we'll be introducing into next year's system for accreditation, is to get your masters, you'll also have had to have completed a pet handling and body language course, so that you know about how to handle pets and you can read body language and things like that. So yeah, there's all many things in the works that
Ah,
that we're really excited about. So accreditation is the first step of taking the awards into something amazing for the future, and then we've got more ideas from there as well.
I'm pretty sure you have like, I mean, I cannot imagine the ideas that you both have for this and everything. Um, but now that you say that about body language, like dog behavior and all that, that's really important because I'm not sure if other awards take that in account. Like the dog. Okay, yeah, the photo is amazing, but the dog looks like super anxious and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like you
yeah.
you really care about the well-being of the animal that it's in the photo. So I think
I
that's one
think
of
it's
the things that are changing the industry, because I don't remember seeing that anywhere. Like
yeah. I mean, if you are a pet photographer, or if you're a person who photograph pets in any aspect of your business, that stuff is really important to know, because unless you can understand what an animal is thinking and how it's behaving, then you can't get the best out of it. If you don't know that a dog is extremely stressed, then you're going to tip it into panic mode, and fight or flight's going to kick in, and then there's a risk that you or a client might get bitten, and and that's not a situation that anybody wants to be in. So it's so important that body language is taken into account. And we're very pleased to have that as part of our judges' criteria, that judges are looking. And that's also why we're really pleased that, we have, including Charlotte and myself, 18 incredible photographers who are all experienced at working with animals, and all are within different niches of pet photography, all over the world, who know this stuff as well. So yeah, it's really exciting to have all of our
yeah,
judges on board.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And what about your point of view from, like, because you've done a lot of competitions and you've won a lot of competitions too, so let's talk about that.
I've won a few awards, I guess. Yeah.
Well, for me
So
it's a
yeah,
lot because
I've been entering photography competitions. I think my first year was 2016, I think.
okay.
Uh, and it's been quite a roller coaster, because you are putting yourself out there, and you are putting your work in front of judges who are going to like or not like what you're showing them. And
This is a part
sometimes,
of your heart.
right, sometimes it's really hard to hear. And I think the important thing with feedback, and with the judging process, and with getting your images critiqued in any platform, regardless of whether it's awards or not, is that uh like I said, judging is a lot of work. Organizing awards is a lot of work. We are not in it because it's something fun. We are passionate about helping
Yeah.
people. So when you get feedback, the judges are not attacking you personally. You have to separate you as a person and the emotion that you felt in the moment of capturing those images from the critique that you're hearing. A judge doesn't know that it was a really hard shoot and the light was disappearing really fast and it was -5 degrees outside and it was really cold and windy and your camera stopped working and all of those things that add to the emotion of the experience for you. They are purely judging what they see in print. So that was a hard lesson to learn when I first started entering awards. But I did okay in my first year. And I thought, okay, well, I wonder if the judges would like my work better if I produce work that I think that the judges will like. So I
But
did that in my
how do you
second
do
year.
that? Because sorry, how do you do that if, well, I'm not sure if there was like really like a pet or dog award like
Right. So
back
I
in
was
the
entering the New Zealand Institute of Professional Photography Awards at that
okay.
point, and there was not a pet category. It was all in the portrait category. It was not people who understand necessarily pet photography that were judging it and all of that stuff. Um, but I think there's still a lot to learn from every genre of photography,
Mhm.
whatever genre of photography your niche is, anyway. But and I just want to say as well before I talk about this a bit that it is an absolute myth that certain judges give awards to certain styles or certain awards do. The judges reward good work regardless of if it's their preferred style or not. But however, when you're new to awards, it can seem like uh, you see being judged 90% of images with dogs in are taken in the studio, and you think, oh, well, if I do studio photography with dogs, then I'm going to do better in the awards, which is a myth. And then that feeds that rumor and that thought pattern even more, because 90% of the images you see being entered into the awards are dogs in the studio,
Hmm.
because people who are doing different genres think that that's what they need to enter to win.
Yeah.
And so, the percentage of images winning awards then is a lot higher for studio work, or is a lot higher for flash lit, or whatever thing you think it is. And then nobody else enters the awards with a different style of work. So it all is a vicious cycle of
Yeah.
nonsense. But they do enjoy seeing things that are new and unusual and unique and different. And if you can surprise a judge, then you are more likely to win. However, on my second year of entering, I was down that whole path of thinking, oh, I must have to do studio work to be a successful award entrant, and I'll do better this time if I do. And I didn't. I did all right. I did about the same. I won about the same number of awards and got about the same scores in my second year. And I was like, oh, well, why didn't they like my studio work? That's weird. And and that's work that I created that I would really never share now. It's not I think it's good work, and of course I won awards for it, so did the judges think it was good work. But it's not work that I want people to see coming from me.
Yeah.
In my third year of entering the awards, I entered work that was completely from my core, my reason for going out and taking photos, that I was passionate to have created, and I won the New Zealand Portrait Photographer of the Year, and I was the first person in 80 years of the awards being run that had won the portrait category with pictures that were not people.
Oh
And
my
that made
God.
me click, it's the work that you create that you're passionate about. That is the work that is
Yeah.
going to make the judge feel passionate as well. Because you see the work that's created, you can see the soul in photography
Yeah.
when it's created with soul and passion and heart, I think. And that comes across. And I think that's probably why I managed to win that title um, in the third year that I was entering. So yeah, so that was exciting, and then yeah, since then I've won a few awards and a few more. And last year we finally had a pet category, an animal category in the New Zealand
Oh,
Awards.
really?
Yes. And I say, of course, but you never should take it for granted. Never took it for granted, but I was actually the winner of that category. And so I was very grateful for that and very excited to be the first
Aw.
person to win the portrait category with people with pet images, and the first person in New Zealand to win the first animal category award as well. So that was
Oh,
pretty cool.
yeah,
I was
that's amazing.
excited about that. I
So,
did work that was very different for me last year as well, that I've been putting a couple of series together for a while, and my work's usually really colorful. And last year I wanted to strip the color out and present some black and white stuff that was all about the connection between dogs and things like that. So that's what I ended up doing last year, and showing those bonds and those relationships of dogs together. And yeah, yeah.
so
So awards keep me evolving as well, I guess, because I'm always working on personal projects. I'm always thinking of new things to do,
but
and
you
not
have
for
your
the award.
awards in mind.
Not really. No, I don't really think so. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about Dogs of the World and stuff as well. But I've done a couple of personal projects. My Dog is Love project, my Dogs of the World project. I've just started another new project that I was hoping to enter in the awards this year, but they're not quite ready yet. So I need to do some more development on those. Mainly on the print side, because these will be printed images that I want to present in quite a different way. So there's always something I'm thinking of, but never really is it about the awards or how am I going to create something new that I can win awards with. I never really go into it with that kind of thought process. I think the awards can be a great excuse for you to start a personal project, but they're never my sole reason anyway. And whatever, it's different for other people. I know people who create specifically for the awards and come up with all these ideas, but I don't usually come up with my personal project ideas because I want to win awards with them.
Right.
But sometimes when I'm doing like Dog is Love, which was a fundraising project, and my new project will be a fundraiser as well, some awards can't hurt if you can get them, because it helps the marketing and everything and raising
Yeah.
awareness of the project, and then in turn it helps you to raise the money as well that you're trying to raise for whatever causes you're supporting. So yeah, it's all really, so what I've been entering really is a mixture of, still I enter client work as well, because I think it's nice to say that you won awards with client work.
Yeah.
um,
How do you handle that? Like if you go in a shoot and you say, "Hey, can I use this for awards?" Or how do
Well,
you?
I just have my contract with my clients allows me to use the
Oh,
images for marketing and awards entries and all of that, just as standard.
okay.
Um, so yeah, so I just enter anything, and very rarely will a client object to a
Yeah.
clause in a contract, and if they do, then I'll put a note in my metadata, not for awards or not for Instagram or whatever it is that they don't want their images being seen, and whatever. Then I'm happy to do that. But most, we're doing dogs. It's not like we're doing babies and children where they want to protect the identity of these people. Everybody wants their dogs plastered on Instagram. Everybody wants their dogs to be award-winning dogs, so because we're so proud of them. Like they're our babies, and we want to show our babies off to everybody on the planet that wants to look. So
I know, I know.
we've got it a bit easier, I think, as pet photographers for things like that, where we can use freely, really, for marketing, because and awards and whatnot, because nobody's going to have any objections.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so from that perspective, I just have that and enter them, and yeah, I think it's important for if you're into awards and all of that, why not strive to make an award-winning image at every client shoot? Shouldn't that be what we all aspire to do? Like create a piece of art for our clients that could hang in a gallery and win awards and get recognition. That's what we should be doing every time we go out, and that's what I have in mind when I'm shooting. Not that I'm going to necessarily enter this dog into the awards and win something, but that's the standard of work that I'm trying to achieve with all my client shoots.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to pick your camera and be like, I'm going to make art. It's not just like another shoot of another dog and that's it.
Yeah, and I think I
um
really, because I think any pet photographer anywhere is that shoots on location is probably going to have 3 or 4 locations that they shoot at fairly frequently,
yeah.
and client work can get repetitive and it can get a little bit boring, and you can feel a little bit burned out when you've had a really busy season. I like to try and keep it interesting when I go out on my shoots by trying something new that I haven't done in that location before, whether it's face a different direction or walk a little
Mhm.
bit further down the track over that way that I usually go this way. And oh, actually I've got this lens and I haven't used this lens for months, or whatever it might be. Just try something different. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. The client doesn't have to see it, but it pushes you a little bit and stops you getting bored and gives you a little bit of a challenge. So I always try and do that when I'm on a shoot as well.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to do that too. Um and I think it really helps to start seeing your shoots in a different way, because it's like you're also like, um kind of like, well, what I do is I have like a part that is more like an experiment with my clients, like, let's try this. And sometimes they're awful and I'm like, yeah, but they don't see them, so it's fine.
I th-
And I know that, okay, that doesn't work, or this works, maybe I can try this next time in a different like light or something, so it's good. And I
yeah,
think we like creatives need that, like,
right. You
when
can
you
get
get.
really complacent, right? I think there are 2 ways that you can push yourself as a creative, um, in major ways. And the first is by trying stuff that's new, whether you
Mhm.
do that at a client shoot or I'm a massive advocate for personal projects.
Yeah,
And the second way is getting your images critiqued and hearing some feedback.
yeah,
Those 2 things are hard to do, but they are the 2 things I think that gives people the biggest amount of growth in the shortest space of time. When you can discover new things about the way that you work, when you can hear how then that stuff can be improved from people you admire or respect, or your peers in the industry. um, those are 2, I was going to say easy ways, but they're not necessarily easy, really. It is hard to do those things, but those are 2 ways that will really push you as a creator, further. But you have to make time to do that.
yeah,
It's also really easy to be like, oh, I've got 10 shoots booked in this week, so I've got no time for myself or my personal projects or any of that stuff. You have to make time for it. You have to schedule that stuff in.
yes,
Actually
yes.
go and do it. You put it in your calendar. uh this day this week I'm doing a personal shoot for myself, and do it.
That,
Don't go, oh,
yeah,
it's a personal shoot, so it doesn't matter if I actually book a client over the top. Keep that time for you.
I know. Like, I'm not sure if I like the last year I've had like a personal project. It's the first time that I have a personal project. S- And it was thanks to and I already said this to you, but it was not recorded. That I started this personal project because of some stuff that you said at Shutterhound, and Kaylee said something too. So I was like, maybe I should start doing that, because like my work, I mean, how to phrase this? Like, my shoots are my work, of course, but it turned into work, and you
Yep.
start to feel like you lose your why, like your reason, because it's
Yeah.
just like
The
another
passion
job.
kind of
Yeah.
sinks a little
So
bit, and the enthusiasm as you're just doing, because like I said, it's repetitive when you're doing 10 shoots a month at the beach. It's
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not.
So it was it's like discovering everything all over again, like suddenly you're like, oh, now I remember why I used to love this lens or stuff like that, and maybe you I don't know, it's like a routine, because I don't know if you have this in your shoots, but I have like a way of starting a shoot, and then I know that I will pick this other lens and do this and this. So it's kind of like that's how it
Uh,
works, because somebody is expecting this, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, if you use a location often, it's going to nearly always be the same, right? I go up here, and in Christchurch, nearly everybody wants to go up the top of the hills and shoot with the views over the city to the mountains in the distance, or go to the beach. And if I go up to the hills, I know that these trees are
right.
here, and I can do this backlight thing at the beginning, and then I'm going to go on the rocks and do the full sun, and then I'm going to go a bit further down and get these other shots, and then when the sun hits the horizon, I can get the hazy, gorgeous backlight, and it all goes in the same order every single time I'm there. And that is a really good client experience, because you are providing something really
Yeah.
consistent for your clients. They expect your work to look like that. When they've seen images of you shooting in this location, they expect their images are going to look somewhat the same. That's why they've come to you. But
Yeah.
for your creative soul, it's a little bit soul destroying sometimes
Yes.
to just
Yes.
go through that repetitive process. That's why you have to keep it interesting at your shoots, by challenging yourself. That's why you need personal projects to take on, to keep your creativity fueled, and it doesn't have to even be a creative outlet of a photographic personal project. You can make paintings, or do
That's true.
some knitting, or you can do any kind of thing that's creative, that you can sit and just make something,
Hmm.
and that will just fuel your creative side and stop you from burning out when you're
Yes.
doing the stuff that is repetitive for clients.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay. So personal projects. Let's talk
Yes.
about dogs of the world.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So, okay.
how
Dog
how
of the world.
how did, like, why, like, how
Oh
do
my
you
god.
get
What? Okay. So this is something that I have worked through and thought about for a long time, and it comes back to the why, as in, why am I a pet photographer in the first place? Um, Growing up in a tiny island of Guernsey, where I'm from, which is 21 square miles small, I should say, 21 square miles small, was not easy for a person like me. Um, and I was very much introverted and never went out, pretty much stayed in my room the whole time. And animals were my salvation, really. They were the thing that made me feel safe. They were the things that made me feel that I wasn't being judged, that I could be myself around them, and they would never hate me for it, like I felt, you know, from my parents occasionally, or from people at school, or the bullies, or the teachers, or all of those things. So, so I think really that gives me a sense of um, freedom and belonging. And when I started working with dogs as a dog photographer, I think that quite quickly, um, I realized that I wanted to take dogs to the places that they belong, that they feel safe, and that they feel the most happy. And that's always been a journey that I take with every client. I have a consultation, and we talk about what they love to do with their dogs and where they go. And if the dog loves to go for walks at the park, then there's no way I would suggest, well, let's go to the beach, because that's just not where
Yeah.
those dogs belong or are happy. So I always go on that journey with every client. and I guess it kind of just escalated from that, really. I did Barcelona with Kaylee, Nicole, and Charlotte back in 2016, and of course at that point I was a student at the workshop. I wasn't teaching alongside them, which I do now, which I'm also extremely grateful for. Um,
Yes, that's
and
amazing.
and during that experience, a lot of things clicked. And afterwards, I had a couple of days in Barcelona and Paris, and I'd had these ideas of, what if I photographed dogs in epic locations? So I started finding dogs in epic locations every time I would go away somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and built up quite a collection of dogs at the Eiffel Tower and at the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, and at the Sydney Opera House, and all sorts of places. Then I did a shoot. I did a trip in, 2018. I went back to Guernsey to see my family for Christmas, and along the way, we stopped off at a couple of spots and had a bit of a holiday. But I'd had a couple of clients that I'd found, and also a couple of shoots that I'd organised for fun. And I got together with a couple of other pet photography friends, and we did some shoots. And on that trip, I photographed a corgi at Tower Bridge in London, a pit bulls in Times Square in New York, and Tallulah, the French bulldog, at the Louvre in Paris. And somebody said to me, "Oh my God, these dogs fit in these places." And I had this inkling that those images were my favorite images that I'd ever created, and I couldn't put my finger on why. And
Right.
then somebody said, "These dogs fit. You know, when you go to London, you think about dogs, you think of corgis because of the Queen. American pit bulls in Times Square, they fit. A French bulldog at the Louvre fits." And then that became the what is Dogs of the World now. So it went from, I'm just going to photograph any dog in any amazing place, to I want to photograph dog breeds in meaningful places to those breeds, in iconic places in the countries that they come from, or that they have strong ties to, or that they live in these particular environments, or they were used in a particular way by people in the past, or whatever. So that's where it kind of went, and I've been working on it ever since.
Amazing. And
Yeah,
and what really and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are going to like hear this way, that you started something but you had no idea like why you were doing it. Like you just like
just
went
start.
out and yeah, and take photos and see like how do you feel. And I think that is like the hard part, because when like when we have a shoot, or we kind of like need a reason to do it. Like, so I have a client, so like I need to give them the things that they're expecting from me. If I have a personal project, you there's nobody expecting something, like, so if you go out or if you don't go out, it's the same thing. Like nobody is going to be like waiting for something. And
Right.
so if you have like a lot of years working for people like your clients, it's hard. Well, that's what happened to me. Like it was hard for me to justify like going out and doing something just because, I don't know, I want to
Yeah.
have some dogs. I have that every single week. So it was like really hard for my brain to be like, okay, but why? Why are we doing the same thing that we do every week, but just like to see what happens? And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I need to do this. Just like, let's see.
Yeah.
And
It's a I guess it comes from an idea, and then you have an idea and it niggles away at you and like talks in your ear, and
Yeah.
it won't leave you alone. And then, I have to act on this. Like, I have to do
Yes.
something about this. Um, and yeah, like when I started shooting these images, I did not know what this would become.
I love I love that.
I didn't have, like, Dogs of the World is going to be a book. When I started shooting pictures of dogs in amazing places, I had no idea that I was going to do a book.
Love this.
I had no idea, when I started to shoot my Dog is Love series, what I would do with that. I just knew that this was an idea that I had to try to see if I can make it work. And if I can make it work, then some way, somehow, it's going to find its home in the world, or
I
whether
love it.
you are creating something that will be a book that you might end up doing as an exhibition, that is a series of blog posts that just lives on your Instagram. Like, these things will find their
Yeah.
place within um your life, your business,
Aw.
your creativity. It will land somewhere, and you don't have to know where that place, where the end goal is when you start. You just have to start.
Exactly, exactly. So I think that's a really good thing to think uh outside of your work, because that's I know, well, I don't know a lot of pet photographers, but the people that I know, we we kind of like have um a way of working, and it's like this is our work, and we really focus on that. And I think we really need to start developing, if it's possible, like a couple of personal projects, like if you can do like, because at the same time, well, for me, that I'm doing this project, and I have no idea. Like, I had the last shoot on Sunday, and I was like, I have no idea what I want from this. Like, really, I was in the middle of the beach, like surrounded by dogs, and I was like, I don't have a plan. Like, I have like nothing. I just wanted like a lot of dogs, and that's it. And it was kind of like I was a little bit anxious because I was like, I'm not sure if these, like, they're expecting something good, right? Uh, but I had no plan, and I plan my shoots. So it's really interesting to just like try to uh not be your enemy, like it's like getting out of your way, I guess.
Yeah, letting go, having some freedom to
Yeah.
experiment. I think, if you're not going to try new things, you're not going to experiment. How are you going to um, keep on
Yes.
developing? How are you gonna keep growing? How are you gonna keep relevant as well? Like, so not just is your personal project a way to fuel your growth, but it and feed your soul, but it's gonna keep your business running in the long run as well. Because if in 5 years' time you're still doing exactly what you did 5 years ago, the industry moves rapidly, and other people are going to come along and do something new and cool and creative, and other and and you will suffer because you haven't kept relevant and kept your skills growing and learning and developing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love photography so much, is because, like, there are so many ways to see the world and capture it and present it. Like, I love printing my work. Everything I do for my clients is printed, and the more I've been doing it, the bigger my works have been getting for clients. And um, like, printing on different materials and seeing how your work looks the
Yeah.
best. Like, I usually have pretty colorful work, and I love how my work looks on metallic acrylics. Um, and then I print that same image on a matte textured photo paper, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look as good. So like, there's always different things that you can try and learn and process in your own kind of creative space, that it's just never ending. You will
Yes.
never know everything. It's impossible. But if you can embrace learning and trying and creating and failing, and then learning from your failures as well, that the sky's the limit.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. It's like a self-discovery thing too, because like
Absolutely.
it's really, I don't know. I'm all about like personal projects. I'm like, okay, so what's next? And then let's do this. And it just like, it kind of like fits your brain to, and then you start getting like more ideas. And then, I don't know, it's really, I
It's
think it's,
exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about another thing that I really,
Okay.
really wanted to talk with you:
All right.
trends in pet photography.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Well, I think
Um,
this goes hand in hand with personal projects, really.
well, yeah,
Um, are you following a trend, or are you creating one?
that's true. That's true. And I think, well, I don't know if I probably you've seen this. Like, there's a lot of groups of pet photographers, like in social media. So it's like, oh, I really want to try this, and I think that's how trends start. Because it's like a lot of people, they're like, oh, how do you do that? And they just like, it's the same image, but from, oh my god.
Has Mr. Tinks come to join in on the trend chat? Tinks. Yeah, trends. Well, um, I think I think trends have always existed, in the world. People are afraid sometimes to stand out and be different. So, we have fashion of skinny jeans for 10 years, which
Right.
do not look good on me and I have never embraced. We have, things that you see coming up in terms of, movies, trends in everything, every aspect of humanity. Um, it's it's easy to stay in a space where it's already popular, where you are not putting yourself on the line as much, where there's less risk. But if there's less risk, there's also less reward,
Right.
because the pool of where you're creating a trend is getting bigger and bigger, because you're following a trend. And and we're taught now, I think, by social media to follow trends. If you want to have a viral reel or TikTok, then it's got to be with a trending audio or a stupid dance or whatever the bloody hell it might be. And that's how we're taught, and that's how we behave. But um I think if you're just following a trend, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, really, because um well, I get so frustrated when I hear people say to me, or in a group, or wherever, well, everything's done before. There's no such thing as a new idea. Nonsense. Why
Hmm.
does why does something go viral in the first place? Because nearly always it's something that hasn't been seen or done before. It's
Yeah.
a it's a funny thing that some cat's done that nobody's seen a cat do before. It's a style of imagery that hasn't been seen. It's a it's a blink and you miss it moment of some freak weather accident, or something that hasn't been captured on camera before. There are an infinite number of new ideas out there. Nobody has had the same life experiences as you have had. So you are in a unique position to create something that is unique. Um, Finding what that is the hard part.
Right.
Right? If it was easy to come up with things that haven't been done before, then everybody would be coming up with things that haven't been done before. It's really hard to find something that's unique, that's yours, that feels like it is, it is yours and only you can do this.
Mhm.
And you have to put work in, and you have to experiment and play and think about where you've come from and who you are, and put yourself and your personality and your soul into what you're doing. And yeah, it's not easy, but the ideas are out there, and I think that when things go viral, often, you know, that proves exactly that, because it is stuff that hasn't been seen and done.
Yeah.
So following trends, well, you know, try and do something new, I think.
Yeah.
Um, don't,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
and work on that stuff that will make you stand out. You know, and I think if you follow trends and you try things out, that's all part of experimenting and being a creative. You know, you see something that you you know that stops you scrolling and makes you go wow, and you want to know how and why that person has done that. So then you experiment and you try it yourself, and you say, oh yeah, I know how this person is creating this technically. You might not know their reason and their why behind the fact that has come to them creating that in the first place, but you can understand those technical skills that have gone into creating it. And you might go, oh, well, that's not for me. Or you might go, oh, well, I quite like to do this thing the way that this person also does it. And then you bring it into what you're already doing, and you take bits from this and bits from that and bits from the other, and then bits from you and bits from your life experience, and then you are truly in the realms of finding who you are as an artist, finding your style, finding the core of why you do what you do and how you do it. And that's when your work starts to stand out, and that's when your work starts to go viral. um
Yes.
yeah, and that's what I think is a bit lacking in the pet photography space, I guess, because there are lots of things that are trending. There are lots of ideas that uh, are very popular, and so everybody goes and does it, you know. And I'm not talking about things like variety of images that you create at any one shoot, you know, that you're going to do a puppy dog eyes, and you're going to do a full body shot, and you're going to do a dog sitting, and you're going to do a picture with the pet and the owner together in this. Like, that's all natural stuff that almost any dog photographer with any sense is going to create in a portfolio of images for a client. I'm talking about that stuff that makes you stand out from the crowd. That stuff that is different. That stuff that people will go, oh, Rebe does this work, and I don't see anybody else doing that. We must book a shoot with her because I like what she's doing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that comes out of the same thing that we're talking. Like when you discover, like everything is kind of like that. Like you need to discover and understand like who you are as an artist, I guess. And the only way to do it, I guess, is like going out and doing stuff. if
yeah,
if that doesn't work, then try another thing, like you were saying. um but it's really, I mean, with social media, uh like it changes like so fast. And the other day I was talking to this client and I was like, this is interesting because lately I've been doing a lot of vertical shoots, and like I don't remember doing that like 5 years ago or
yeah,
something. And I'm like, why am I only doing this? And then I was like, social media is changing how I take my pictures, of
right.
course. So I was like, oh my God, it's it's changing me.
It's changing the way you do it to yeah. And see, I've gone in the rebellious opposite of that, because I get so frustrated on Instagram now that I hardly ever post, really, because I shoot my dogoramas, which are my panoramic images, and a panoramic image does not fit in 9:16 vertical
No.
format. And
Yes.
it just it and I get comments sometimes from people that are like, oh, well, why have you bothered even doing this? You can hardly see the dog. Well, it's like, well, of course you can hardly see the dog. You're looking at you're looking at a panoramic image on a screen this wide when it's supposed to be printed at 60 inches on a metal acrylic and hung on the wall, you know? So I struggle with social media because it doesn't really fit the way that I shoot.
Right.
But I've never relied really on social media for marketing or getting clients or whatever anyway. Most of my stuff is word of mouth, referrals, and going out to events and actually meeting people and talking to people and having like face-to-face connections.
Right.
So I've never really booked many clients. I don't think I've ever booked a client that has booked me solely because they saw my work on Instagram.
Really?
No, no. And I very rarely book anybody that had seen my work on Facebook either. It's nearly always because I've had that connection with them at an event or an expo, or somebody else has had a shoot and referred
Like
me.
real life.
Yeah, real life. Yeah, getting out there and meeting people and talking to them. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's well, I do get like a lot of clients through social media, and but yeah, I recently noticed that it was changing the way I take photos, and I'm not sure if I like that
right.
because
And I
like
don't like that thought. That thought just like, no, thank you.
yeah, I was
Um,
like, this is
how social media is like, it's dictating to us the way we work and the way we live our lives, and we're so addicted to social media and trapped by it, and we must follow this rule to fit with the algorithms, and it's teaching us to be sheep and conform and
yeah,
do
yeah.
the thing this way and follow trends. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yes, I know,
Tough
I
one.
know. I've been like thinking about it for the last couple of days, and I was like, I had no idea this was happening like in my brain, and
Yeah,
you just don't realize. And then I was
yeah,
like, oh, all the things that I did, it was like for a story, Instagram
yeah.
story. That's
Right.
it.
And
Crazy.
I've noticed that recently as well, because I've just been putting the launch videos together um, for the book, for Dogs of the World book, and the hope is that I would also like to make a documentary about the making of the book as well. But kind of a couple of years in, all of the behind the scenes videos is vertical. I shot nothing that way that's going to suit being used in a documentary at all,
Yeah.
for a good couple of years, because I was in that space of I must make videos this way so it fits on an Instagram story. And I've never really shot vertically. I don't. I mean,
No,
ever
because it
really.
doesn't it doesn't
It
make sense for
doesn't
you.
ever really occur to me that that's the way I should do something. But uh, but yeah, it just shows you that had the influence and the power over me to go, oh, I've got to shoot my video this way because I'll need to do well, probably not even reels at that point. It would have been just stories.
Hmm.
So I must shoot this way for stories. But I should, and what I do now is I shoot video in both ways, so that I've got some stuff for social media, and then I've also got stuff that will be
Yeah,
suitable for YouTube or wherever it is that this potential documentary that might happen one day finds a home. I mean, I'd love to do an exhibition, traveling exhibition with Dogs of the World images, and having a screening of the documentary. Those kind of things would be cool too. So there's all these different ideas I've got for different things at the moment that is all kind of slowly coming together as I get ready for the launch of the book, in
uh,
not very long's time.
yes,
Yeah.
it's
But
amazing.
yeah, it changed the way I was shooting, just to fit the social media trend and the algorithm, and
I
it's
know.
crazy really when you think about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when was the launch of the
I
book?
haven't got a date yet, but I am aiming to have the launch happening at the beginning of September.
Okay, we'll be
So
waiting.
beginning of September for the book launch. Pre-orders will go live. Um, and then then I've got to finish it all.
Amazing.
And I've got 50 breeds so far. I have uh, I don't want to say it out loud. I have 30 more breeds that I want to
Oh,
photograph.
God.
Um, so I have got a lot of work to do between now and
And
May,
forever.
when the project has to all be handed over to the designers to get to print. So for the next however many months, 10 months is going to be pretty full on and exciting.
Yeah, and you have all this. You have Unleash and words, and like it's
Yeah.
not the only thing that you have in. So it's really,
No.
yeah,
There's always a lot going on in my brain and in my life, that I've always got something else that I'm working on. And doing the stuff with Unleashed with Charlotte, and helping pet photographers be as good as they can be, and the challenges that we're running, where we do a challenge every 2 weeks, people submit, we give feedback, all of that stuff. I mean, that's a full-time job in itself, really. And I absolutely love doing that. I wouldn't change that for the world. It's something that I feel very humbled by, that people want to learn from me and that I can help people learn. And I love working with Charlotte, because she's awesome and keeps me sane most of the time. And reins me in sometimes when I need it. And then I've got, like I said, I'm shooting Dogs of the World, but I've already started my next personal project, and she's like, stop, finish Dogs of the World, do that one when you've done this one, and don't move it, and get this finished first. And so she keeps me grounded for sure. But I still take on a lot, I suppose. And then client work, Dogs of the World, which is my main focus. I've actually taken a little bit of a break because I'm also waiting for surgery anyway.
yeah,
Potential
yeah.
surgery. I have to see a surgeon to see if surgery is the right path. I have some problems in my back, so I have to do that. So I've really put my focus on, for my own work, on Dogs of the World right now. So I'm not really pushing my body too far.
Right.
So I have taken a little bit of a step back from all my client stuff right now. I'm not really doing any marketing on anything currently, because I want Dogs of the World done, and I don't want it to be like a rush, and to rush through it and then I'm not satisfied with all the images because I didn't shoot when at times of the day when the light's good or whatever. So that's my main focus. And then once that's done, and once I'm fully back up and running health-wise again, then I can start taking on my client work and doing my private client stuff, and carry on with Unleashed and doing our workshops, and teaching the workshops one-on-one in person.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just,
you're doing next year in Spain, right?
we're doing, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I think I'm allowed to say. Well, we're doing 3 workshops next year.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
definitely allowed to say
I
about
saw
2.
one. I
Yes.
saw one, and I was like, Spain. Okay.
So we're doing a Style Lab retreat in Mallorca in Spain, which is myself, Charlotte, and Alicia Smyslovska doing that together. Alicia is incredible. And so that's all about 5 days of immersion in dog photography, and finding your style, and working out what drives you, and finding these ideas for personal projects, and all of that kind of stuff is what we do at Style Lab. And then we're doing an Unleashed workshop in Nova Scotia as well, which is just Charlotte and I teaching a 4-day workshop in Nova Scotia for that one, which is later on in the year. And there will be another one, but I think I'm forbidden to talk about that right now. I
We'll be
can't spill.
waiting. We'll
I'm
be
always getting
waiting.
told off in secrets too early.
Everything is safe with me and
Yeah.
the people that are going to watch this. So okay, so you're really busy. So I'm really
Yeah.
grateful that you had like this little space for me. Really, like it was amazing talking to you. And I know that Dogs of the World and all your projects are going to be a super hit everywhere in the world. I'm pretty sure because it's amazing and your soul is there. So what you were saying, like the work that will stand out is like the work that is like from you, like from your core and all that. So I'm really
Thank you.
excited.
I
I'm really
appreciate
excited.
that. I hope it is successful. And
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
I'm more than happy to talk to you anytime. I love catching up with you, and
Ah,
we'll need a little adventure again soon for sure.
yes, yes. I'm going to try to see if maybe I can do the Spain thing. It's I've never been there, and
I've never been either, but I've been looking at
no,
pictures of different
but
locations in
you've been to
Mallorca
Spain.
for Spain, yeah, but not to Mallorca. So Mallorca's
Oh, okay.
like an island near
Yeah.
Ibiza. Um, and yeah, so I've never, but I've been looking at all the locations that we could potentially shoot at in Mallorca, and I am so excited. It looks
Mm.
absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've done our last couple of workshops in Iceland, so going somewhere that's a little bit warmer this
No.
time might be
Yeah.
nice too.
No.
Yeah,
Okay. So Craig, really thank you so much for this. I'm pretty sure this information and all your like ideas are going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So thank you again for this. And I'm going to take all your advices and practice and go out and just like have like a lot of personal projects and practice.
awesome. I
Yeah.
like to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
for having
much.
me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.